Hey guys, it's Ryan from AMS, and we're here at City Winery in New York City. We got a chance to sit down with G Love and talk about Special Sauce, 30 years in the industry, his love for blues and hip hop, and of course playing house parties to keep the lights on during COVID. We hope you enjoyed it. Hey guys, it's Ryan from AMS. I'm here with Garrett, or as we like to call him, Glove.
Ooh.
G-Love.
Yay.
Just kidding. It's a joke. And sometimes Special Sauce and sometimes not. And we'll figure that out. Thank you for sitting with us.
Thanks, Ryan.
So, how does a kid from Philly get discovered in Boston, melding blues and hip-hop into something completely different and do it 30 years later?
Well, it just kind of happened. It wasn't thought up. This is the city and I'm the product. But yeah, kind of grew up playing folk music, acoustic guitar. I started playing acoustic guitar at a young age, 8 years old. And then by the time I was 13, I could tune it. And then started sounding pretty good. And so it was kind of a gradual learning situation for me. And then but then when I was 15, I started writing songs, and I started playing a harmonica, and I got really into Bob Dylan. And I really got into John Hammond, learned the Delta blues, and that was the musical side. And then just the hip hop side was just growing up in Philadelphia in the 80s. We're the same age, so our generation was kind of the first generation of fans of hip hop. And so eventually I kind of stumbled into like blending the two together. I was a street performer in Philadelphia, and I was playing a blues riff at the end, just riffing at the end of a song. And I started rapping the lyrics for Eric B. and Rakim was Paid in Full. And that was like the heavens opened up, and it was a real epiphany because I knew at that point that I had just kind of I'd stumbled into like a new sound. Because I was like, there's no one else that's playing a dobro and rapping. I just knew that there was no one else in the world that was doing that. Yeah. So then, and then at the same time, that's why I said the generational thing, because kind of at the same time on the West Coast, Beck was doing something like that, and also my neighbors, the Roots in Philadelphia, were also doing something unique with hip hop. So our generation kind of came out as the first fans of hip hop to take that genre into different directions.
Yeah, it seemed to bubble up around the same time. I was going to mention Beck, and again, because you and I are roughly the same age, I remember when this style of music, it just seemed to come out of nowhere. And you say it was a happy accident, but it sounds to me like once you figured that out, you're like, this is the path, but then you can kind of veer into different ways going along. And it seems like you've done a lot of different styles. What keeps bringing you back to this?
Yeah, music is, especially now, all the lines are kind of blurred as far as styles and genres, just because the world is so open communication wise, and that's that's also music. And that's a wonderful thing. So, we've always kind of just played the music that we love. And, we don't just love hip hop and blues. I love, soul music and folk music and country music and reggae. And so I just like good music, you know what I'm saying? So, all those different kind of styles, over the years have kind of going in and out of our records, and that's the main thing I try to do is to nowadays, like now when I make a record though, because we could do so many styles, right? We could have rock and roll, country, folk, reggae, and hip hop on one record. It's too much. I remember getting this Rolling Stone review for our record, The Hustle, and I'll never forget the quote, because it said this record's utterly sincere and entirely unfocused. And I thought, well, I learned from that, because I am sincere in my writing and performance, but yeah, let's stylistically, now when I'm making records, trying to really stylistically keep on one thing in that record. So figure out what are we going to do in this record and do that, instead of trying to do everything.
So a little more focus, sincerity.
That's right. Focus, sincerity.
Well,
Okay.
and it's funny because your moniker G Love isn't just I mean, you talk about love a lot, and I think what it comes down to is when you're tapping into different styles, you genuinely love all those different styles, so it comes across as you. Whereas sometimes someone could come across and do something a little stylistically different, and it just seems like they did it to do it.
Right.
And it seems to me like love kind of permeates everything that you do. Not to get hippie about it, but I mean, that's a big part of what's kept you going, I think.
Yeah, I think I've always had, speak for the rest of the guys, we've all chosen music as our life's work, and that, the cornerstone of that is, kids falling in love with playing music and loving the feeling of playing music and loving performing and then loving writing and making records and touring and everything else. So yeah, the love for, if you love what you do, right, you don't work. So that's the cool thing about what we do now as a living. We love this music that's given us this life. And and then just on the performance thing, when you play in front of people, or what's the mission? What does it really boil down to? Is you're here to communicate, make people happy, inspire people, and just bring love. Spread that, bring forward that feeling. And I don't mean that in any kind of like corny way or something. The corny's not the right word, but I don't mean to belittle it. Oh, just throw it out there. It's like it's real. It's true. It really is. Again, like sincere. It's the part of my mission's always been like to inspire people to play music, to help people that think that they couldn't make music professionally make music.
Okay.
And to help people to get a leg up to do it professionally, because a lot of people play guitar and a lot of people and sing and a lot of people are just do it for themselves in their room. But there's a lot of really talented people. Yeah, I feel like if I'm sitting here talking to you, that anybody could do it, because how they have that thing like God-given ability or whatever. Like I do believe that some people have that. I know that I didn't. But the love of music and the work ethic, the work putting in hours, that shaped me into the musician I am today.
That makes a lot of sense. And I think it also makes a lot of sense as to why, think of any sort of package tour or any sort of artist, and you guys literally fit in. It could be Slightly Stoopid, it could be the Horde, it could be a jam band, it could be a hip hop band, it could be a blues band, country, whatever. And you guys could be on that bill, and you're not going to go, what are we doing here?
Right.
Like, you can make it work.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. We've always kind of been an outlier on a lot of different scenes, like on the fringe of a lot of different scenes, because we can do a lot of different things, and even the presentation of what we do. Like, I can do a solo acoustic show that might be at home at a folk festival, but I can also do a solo acoustic show that could be at home, opening up for Tribe Called Quest or something like that. And the same thing with the band. So yeah.
But that's how you keep doing it. I mean, other than loving that you do it, to be doing it and to still be doing it this well, 30 years is a long time.
It is.
And so you're not only fortunate, you guys work to get there.
Yeah.
It sounds to me like, and I heard a story, because a lot of bands, especially during COVID, had to figure out ways to get gigs going. Tell me how you guys did that. It sounds to me, you did house parties?
Yeah, we did. We were calling them soul barbecues. So it was funny. Like we live in Orleans, Massachusetts, up on Cape Cod, and like everybody else, we got sent home from tour. So we're like, my wife goes, yes, just got a call or got an email from someone wants to do like a private show for their graduation for their kids. Just 6 people, just the parents and the 4 kids or whatever, and 2 friends or something like that. Should we do it? And we're like, well, this was right after the pandemic, right? The pandemic was in March, and this would have been in May or June. And we're like, ooh, that's kind of weird. Like, all right. let's do it. So we did. We went over to their the
sorry.
house music just came on.
There you go.
But yeah, we went over to their house and everyone was wearing masks and I played some songs and we didn't die.
That must have been surreal.
It was. But that started us doing like, yo, let's put it out there. So then as things start opening up little by little, like you could do a 10 people gathering or you could do 25 people gathering. So whatever the rules were in that state, we'd say, yo, you want to book a barbecue? And it was unbelievable, the response from the fans. And yeah, man, everybody wanted to book these private parties. So we just started doing them. And man, we bought a pre-owned Chevy 2019 Chevy Suburban. We got a Bose PA and we hit the road, and that was that was it, man. And it sustained us so thank you to all those people for booking us on those
But
things.
it's also remarkable. I mean, I get it. It's a testament to the fact that not only do you guys love what you're doing, but you didn't let your ego get in the way. Like you achieved some major success, and then it's like, okay, we're going to play a house party for 6 people, and you go, few artists would go, yeah, why not? I mean,
Yeah, it was
it's a way to keep the lights on, but
Yeah.
like, I'm sure you went there, you're like, we're going to rock these 6 people as hard as we possibly can.
Well, yeah, it was. Yeah, look, my joke was like, I'm lucky. I've had a crew since. I've been in the tour bus since, our first record dropped in '94. We got in the tour bus in 1996. So since 1994, I've had. We're a small touring entity, but since 1994, I've had a crew. So I was like, this is kind of first time since 1992 that I'm huffing around my own PA. But you know what? It felt great to get back there and do my and tech for myself and figure out how to use the PA, which is easy, and I loved it. And it was humbling, but it was also like really rewarding in that sense. A lot of the things that like your regular tour schedule where you sound check and then go take a nap, and we're all very like schedule oriented, and this was just every day was different. We're going to drive from Charlotte to Atlanta and go set up in someone's backyard, and then we're going to leave after because we got to get to Jackson, Mississippi, load in. So yeah, we were all the regular stuff like the pre-show nap and everything just was just like kicking in survival mode. But like I said, I loved it. It was great.
And it's funny, you hear about some bands when they make it and they almost kind of miss playing like sheds or smaller, rooms and getting back in the van and all that. Like this was forced upon you, and yet it's probably something you look back on with great fondness, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, it was a special time. And, the other thing I was doing Zoom guitar lessons and Zoom harmonica lessons and Zoom songwriting sessions. So I got to know a lot of my fans really well. Some I made a joke about last night at the show because one of my guys was at the show and he's like, I don't know, he's like a successful finance guy or whatever. But I was dogging him at the show last night because I don't know, I brought up the COVID thing for some reason, and I said, well, yeah, one of my students is here. I was like, you definitely don't want to try to teach a 50-year-old guy guitar. That's like the worst thing ever. Like to teach like a 50-year-old, because you teach a kid, you're like, okay, first finger, first, fifth string, second fret. And the kids are like, and you try to tell it to a 50-year-old guy, you're like, first finger, fifth string, second fret. Okay. First, like they can't do it. So half the time I just like be on Zoom just drinking beers.
Yeah, that'll be $50.
But yeah, that was a lot of fun to do that. And I look back at the COVID thing as a time of like really making a strong connection with a lot of people that were fans. That it was nice. It was good. And look, happy to be back out doing the real thing. But we still do private shows still. Because it's like we added it to the menu because we have the PA and we know exactly. We have like a light system. I got like a whole rig, man.
And so, yeah, I mean, why not do it?
Yeah, man.
And you're still enjoying. See, and that's the thing too. It's so fun to watch someone who's done it for a long time that really genuinely enjoys it. I don't know if you've ever met some of your heroes where you could tell they're kind of going through the motions or they're a little burnt. It seems to me like you guys are as into it as you've ever been.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, we love what we do, and sometimes it's harder than others to get up on stage. And I always look at it like this: like going on stage is like jumping into the abyss, in a sense that you're going to jump off the cliff, and you're going to hope that you fly, but you really have that kind of mentality that like you're jumping in, and sometimes. You're sometimes that's easier than others. Just say that, that could be your health, your personal life, you just said you're tired, right? Like, yeah, you might be tired, but it was showtime, you got to jump off the cliff and try to make something great happen. And the people that are out there coming to see you play just paid all this money and maybe got a babysitter, especially my fans. They got babysitters. It's like a big deal to get people out of the house. So you better play your ass off. You know what I'm saying?
You do kind of owe it to them, for sure.
For sure.
And you know what you're a father, you know what it's like to, if you're going to go out to dinner, and especially these days, I mean, everything is so expensive. So, it's pretty cool that you get to do that. Have you ever gone on tour with the band and been on a bill and you thought, this might be the one thing we don't fit in with? Have you ever had that happen? Like Ozfest or something?
Well, I mean, we never did that. I mean, we never get, like, the hard rock is probably something that we don't really get added to. Like, I think that some crowds are tougher than others. I'll say that.
For sure.
So certain genres, I feel like the jam band crowd is a very discerning crowd. And because they're so into, this is my perspective, because they're so into, whoever they're fanatical about, Humphreys McGee, or Fish, or Dave Matthews Band, or whatever. Like those people, or Widespread Panic, like they only listen to that shit. So like, when you go open for Widespread Panic, a lot of people just are in the parking lot. Same thing with Dave Matthews, and a lot of people just care about Dave and Widespread. So it can be a tough crowd, but I think you can still make a great impression. And again, you just come out and do your thing. And then also like hip hop, especially back in the day. Mm-hmm. We did shows with everybody. Like I mentioned Tribe Called Quest earlier, but Tribe Called Quest, Run DMC, Gangstar, Gurus, Jazz with Taz, KRS-One, Cypress Hill. We did shows with a lot of different of my favorite hip hop acts, and those, especially in the '90s, those hip hop shows are really hip hop, and what we were doing was a little too far outside of what that fan base wanted to see. So there was a couple rough nights on those tours, but always felt support from the artists.
I was just going to say that it seems like the artists are probably more supportive than the fans in some regard.
And like the other genre that's really gotten popular in the last 10 years, kind of off of Sublime and Slightly Stupid, is like the new American reggae scene. And we're a part of that too, because we've kind of came up with Sublime, and we've kind of, helped bring Slightly Stupid out by helping to produce some of their big records and taking them on tour when they were just getting started. So we have recognition in that fan base, or more so in the artist circle. But what we do is not reggae, and that fan base, I think, is really keyed in on like that style of reggae. So we're a little bit outside of that. So sometimes it's a challenge, but look, it's the same thing as anything. Whoever you are, whatever you're playing, wherever you're playing, you're trying to get over, right? You're trying to feel good playing music and trying to get over on the crowds. And I mean that in a sincere way. They're trying to pull a fast one on them. You're trying to get everybody loving the music.
And that's got to be really gratifying when you look out there and you see some people kind of thinking, all right, what's this going to be? And then you could feel like you're winning them over song by song.
Yeah. For
that's
sure.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, okay, you're starting out, you're playing guitar. Where would you be today if you didn't see John Hammond? If he was not part of the mix, what do you think you'd be doing?
When I got to see John Hammond I really got to see a lane that I could pursue, like, because I was 16, 17, and you think about it, in the 80s there was no internet, and there was MTV, so like you had like Michael Jackson and Madonna and Prince and Bruce Springsteen. It was like how you get to go from a kid playing guitar in your room to that. It's
good luck.
It's like Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's like, but there was no roadmap, and it was, even if you had the wherewithal to make a demo tape or something, you couldn't send a demo tape to a record label, right? It had to come through a music attorney or a music lawyer. Okay, how do you get a music manager or a music attorney? How do you get a manager? How do you? It's
You
impossible.
told me. Yeah, how do you do it? Yeah.
But when I saw John Hammond play at a small venue or multiple small venues in Philadelphia, I'm thinking, oh, well, I could do this. I could make one record, and I could go tour like the coffee house, the bar circuit, and that's something that I think that I could do. So that was what I set out to do, to make a record. Mm-hmm. And then I met my band, and then I was always sending demo tapes out to there was also, but there was this thing back in the day called music conferences. So they had a big one in New York too, the New Music Seminar and the CMJ. And these were huge events where unsigned talent could go try to get signed. So that was like a big thing in the early 90s. And we got accepted to music seminar here in the city. We got accepted to Philadelphia Music Conference. And those two things got us a manager, got us a producer, got us in front of the labels. And so then we got signed, and we bridged that gap with baby steps.
Okay. Yeah, that must have been pretty gratifying to know that you really did come up through the ranks kind of on your own terms. Which again, like talking about today with the internet and YouTube and things like that, it just seems like that kind of stuff seems more and more impossible to think how you ended up achieving it, if you think about it.
And nowadays it's different because it's easier, but also like way harder, I think, because now everybody can record a record. Literally, if you have a laptop, or not even, you can make a record on your phone. And everybody can put it out. But there's like, I don't know what the statistic is, but it's something like 1,000 records come out like every hour or every day. So there's so much noise. And there's so many bands, great bands. So how do you, back in the day, it was curated, right? There was the gatekeepers, which were the record labels. So the public was kind of leaving it up to them for them to decide what everyone's going to listen to. But nowadays, people decide what they're going to listen to. So that's where we're at now, and that's changed it, because there is no one saying, no, you're not getting a deal.
Right. It's not kind of fed to you in any, like, if someone wants to put it out, they can do it. You don't need the big fat cat at the record label telling you what you can and can't do.
But if someone's like, oh, do you have advice for, my son or daughter, they're into music, I'm like, yeah, go get a real job.
You mean it and you don't. I mean,
I'm like, play music for fun, man. Like, what do you want in life? Because it's a different lifestyle. But but like, all jokes aside, like, I don't even know what to tell the people, because the paradigm's like, well, I would say, go do a bunch of gigs and keep doing gigs in your city and get a following, and then spread it regionally. And if you can't get a following, then I don't know. That's not, if you can't get a following in your hometown,
might be a sign.
Just saying.
It's good advice. And speaking of,
because you have to connect with people. So if you're going to play shows and then a show doesn't lead to the next show and more people coming to it, then that's not a good sign necessarily.
And would you describe Philly as that for you? I mean, that's such an iconic musical American city. you must think to yourself, am I nuts for doing this? Or is it like, no, this is such a great scene, I'll make it work?
I kind of started in Philly because I was born and raised there, but then I moved to Boston. So Boston's where I really made an attempt to like lock it down and really try to see if I could do it. And then I met my band, and so I started getting gigs solo acoustic, and then I did get my band, and then everything happened really quickly when we had the band because we had a unique sound, and everybody was great players. It was a unique project, and most importantly, when we started playing out on the street, and then we started playing in bars in Boston, like we were, like I just said, like we would play on the street, and someone come up and say, they book us, come play at this bar next week. Boom, play at that bar, 2 gigs come out of it. You know what I'm saying? Like every gig was leading to like multiple gig offers, not this like local, but
Right.
it was going somewhere.
And it puts food on the table.
Well, not much, but we were, you're
You're
kids,
young.
yeah.
Yeah. So talking about gear, I noticed you look primarily to be a Les Paul player.
Yep. Yep. I bought my first Les Paul in 1996. Jimmy Jazz, my bass player, was like, you got to get a real guitar, because I was playing like pawn shop guitars, specifically this one called Crucinelli, which was an Italian ripoff of the Jaguar from like the 50s, 60s, and with all that mother of pearl. Like a piece of plywood just dipped in this beautiful, delicious, sparkly and they had a unique sound with all the knobs and stuff, or all the like the levers. You could see pictures of it, but eventually Jim was like, you should get a, and he recommended to get a Les Paul. So I got, it's the most money I spent on anything ever in my life. At that point, it was $2,700 at the Guitar Center on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood. This black Les Paul, I'll play it tonight, man. You know what I'm saying? 1970.
That's money well spent, right? I mean, it's still.
Yeah, I'm sure
Doing
it's
what
going
we-
up in value too,
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, and then I play, for acoustics, I've always liked J45s, Gibson J45s.
Yep.
And Gibson's been great to work with. And then, for my harmonicas, I play Hohner, Marine Band harmonicas. I'm kind of like a plug in and play guy. I have a couple of effects. We've just slimmed down my pedal board. I have, a stage tuner. I have like an overdrive, gain distortion pedal. I have a phaser pedal, a vibrato pedal, and a digital delay pedal.
And during soundcheck, I heard you were messing with like an octave up or something on that when you were playing along while you were doing harmonica. It sounded like a Pog or something.
Oh yeah. Well, no, that was the little distortion, but that was just the I call it synchronicity style, where I play the harmonica same notes as like the lead guitar stuff.
Right.
So, but yeah, that was I guess that wasn't really an effect other than gain.
Yeah, I know. It sounded good. I mean, it sounded like one big instrument as you were
cool.
doing it, with the harmonica.
Oh, cool. That's cool.
Yeah,
I
and
like
a
that.
lot of the old blues guys, they would sing along with when they were playing lead. So,
Yes.
I mean, it's like you can't get away from the blues.
Yeah.
It just informs everything that we do.
Yeah, for sure.
So, what's next? What are we doing for 2025?
Yeah, we have a new record in the can, and it's an interesting project called Ode to RL.
Okay.
And R.L. Boyce was a legendary hill country blues man, and I got to have just one of the greatest musical nights of my life during the making of our Philadelphia, Mississippi record, which was produced by Luther Dickinson down in Coldwater, Mississippi at their Zebra Ranch studio. But R.L. basically played a set for us, and I backed him up on harmonica and Chuck on the drums and Luther on piano. And sadly, he passed since the session, which was during COVID. We have this session on, so we said, well, we should really we were already planning on trying to finish this record for him. And then when he passed, it was like, wow, this is important to, we went through the record, and it just wasn't really like, it wasn't, all the pieces weren't there. So I said to this kid that worked with Logan Tickner, I said, hey man, if you ever get a notion, like we could chop this session up and like make beats with it. So that's what we did. He did. And he started coming with all his beats. It's a very interesting project. It's this blues session, and we chopped it up into this really unique sounding hip hop blues.
Okay.
And then I wrote to it. So a lot of the records feature RL's vocal on it, and then it just went in a different direction. So I'm really excited about this record, and excited to honor RL's memory with it and legacy. You know, I think I'm happy to be able to do that. I'm happy that I got to make music with that man.
That's kind of the magic of it when you think about it. It just kind of someone could leave the session, maybe they pass on, and something still manifests itself through the music. And
Yeah.
you know, I remember hearing Tom Petty saying, I don't know if magic exists, but the closest thing I could think of would be music.
Okay.
And if you think about it, it is. It's amazing how it touches people like that. So this project for you must have been pretty magical, I would think.
Yeah, it was. And it was cool because the making of the Philadelphia, Mississippi record was a magical process. And then for that to keep continuing on by using parts of that session that were unused was really cool. So that'll come out, and then we're gonna be on tour with Dispatch, John Butler Trio, and Donovan Frankenrider this summer, coast to coast.
Great.
So look for us. So we're gonna go get ready for the show tonight now.
There you go. Staying busy. I appreciate you taking the time. I know time was tight, man.
Right
Thank you
on.
so much.
Cool. Thanks, Ryan.
Take care.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. We'd like to give a huge shout out to G Love for sitting down with us today. We hope you enjoyed it. For more content like this, be sure to like and subscribe, and check us out at AmericanMusical.com.